Am I wearing myself on my shirt? Why yes, because it's a reminder that I used to have time to do my hair. What's up guys, it's Amerie and I'm here with the end of the year book tag. I haven't done a tag in a really long time, so I'm kind of excited about doing this one. And it didn't stress me out, but I haven't forgotten my 10 books that I want to read before the year's over tag, and yeah, I really would like to go through those 10 books, as many as I can. Number 1, are there any books you started this year that you need to finish? There are a few I have over there. Why was I about to say Barnes & Noble? George R.R. Martin's book 3 in A Game of Thrones. Which one is this? A Storm of Swords. I mean, I've been meaning to start that one, or I started it like just barely. I've been meaning to start with that one for forever. I don't count the George R.R. Martin books because I do read them like, kind of like how you do TV shows. You dip in, you dip out. It's just kind of like an ongoing thing throughout the year while I'm reading other books, so I don't technically count them the same way. The 7 or 8 Deaths of Stella Fortuna by Juliet Grimes. This is one that I did begin, but I had to stop because something came up, and then now I'm going to just have to start it all over. But I love the voice. It's a family saga about a woman who almost dies 7 or 8 times, and it takes place around World War II, and we go through I don't want to say through the ages, through the decades to present day. But I love how everything's connected or seems connected, so I'm really happy to get into this family saga. It doesn't look crazy long, but I just love a good family, multi-generational saga. So I do plan to finish this one. And what else? Number 2, do you have an autumnal book to transition into the end of the year? I don't think of my reading in terms of like summer reading, fall reading. I'm really just whatever I really want to get into and trying to get it in, especially because I'm failing my Goodreads challenge miserably right now, but it's okay. It's okay. There are some graphic novels that I want to read, so that's going to help. I want to really get into The Diviners by Libba Bray. I picked this up a long time ago. I think it was a mood thing, or maybe I got distracted, but I stopped at page 72, and I think at this point I'm going to have to at least skim read up to from the beginning all the way to where I left off. But I'm really excited. I have book 2, and I love this cover. I really wish they would just say, you know what, we're going to just redo books 2 and 3, even though they have covers already, in book 4, and we're going to just go back to the original. I think so many people would actually love that, and I think that would be a huge thing. So publishers, Little Brown, I think you should do it because this cover is amazing. Is there a new release you're still waiting for? I think, well, one of my top releases that I was waiting for was Ta-Nehisi Coates' The Water Dancer, which is his first, okay, that was my lipstick, which was his first novel. And because he's written, nonfiction, which I loved. We Were 8 Years in Power and Between the World and Me. This is his first novel. It takes place in the South during enslavement, and there's a little bit of magic in here. So it's very realistic with a touch of magical realism, for lack of a better word, because the whole thing with magical realism being very rooted in South America. People can argue that, debate that. Super excited to get into this because I love his work. What are 3 books you want to read before the end of the year? Like I said, there were 10 books that I really wanted to read that were from my shelves. However, we have not gotten to those. I mean, did we not get into any of them? I tried to get into one of them, but that didn't really work out. I'm going to try again. But the 3 that I really want to get to, The Nickel Boys by Colson Whitehead. I've got to really brace myself for this. This takes place it's based on a true story, or it has a inspired by true events. And it takes place in Jim Crow era South, Baltimore, I believe it is. And it's about boys who are sent to this reform school, but it's just like there are terrible things that happen to the boys at this school, and it's actually inspired by a school that was run and had terrible things happening there, and it wasn't closed down I think until like 2011 or 2010 or something like that. So again, when you're reading fiction and you're reading really good fiction that's going to touch you, fiction that's true to life, true to the human experience, most likely you're going to have to brace yourself a lot. You're going to have to brace yourself a lot because that's human nature. It's what it is to be alive. It's life. So yeah, it's also why I'm not always this is kind of like a short digression, but trigger warnings. I really don't like trigger warnings. I just feel like you just have to go into a book knowing it's going to be triggered. Unless you can tell that it's a G-rated book. You know what I mean? It's like when we go to the movies, you're going to see all kinds of things. Or if people do trigger warnings, just hide them, because I don't need to know right before I get into it. It's this, rape, incest, animal abuse, which I really hate too, or child abuse, which is really terrible as well. I mean, all of it is terrible, but there are certain triggers, right? Things that people just can't stand. But if I'm going into a book, I know that stuff is going to be, something terrible is going to be in there, most likely. But when you just front load it with all these trigger warnings, I'm like, well, okay, now I guess that's not, I'm going to read the book knowing, okay, someone's going to get raped. Is it her? Or is this going to happen? Who's the child? It's going to be, it's just like, it just says too much, which is another reason why I stopped reading reviews before going into a book, because now everyone's throwing those trigger warnings up, and I'm like, look, it's a book. Terrible things are going to happen. I mean, we've all been through SHIT. I don't need someone to be like, this is this and this and all the light we cannot see. Death. Anthony Dower. I think you already know about this, so I don't really have to tell you, because I feel like it's been around quite a while, but just in case. This takes place in Nazi Germany, and there's two young children, or young people, a boy and a girl, and I think the girl is blind and the boy is part of the Hitler Youth, if I remember correctly. It's been a while since I opened the flap, so I'm going to just go in blindly from here. I'm not going to reread the flap to go in, but I've heard phenomenal things about this. I think it's finally time that I read it. I'm sure I'm going to be wondering, like, why in the world did it take me so long to get to this book? It's one of those kind of books, I think. Finally, Cloud Atlas by one of my favorite authors, David Mitchell. I really, really loved Bone Clocks. Bone Clocks was one of my favorite books of all time, or is one of my favorite books of all time. And I didn't see the movie for Cloud Atlas because I always wanted to read the book, but I still haven't read it, so I'm really excited. I heard it's really confusing, but we'll see. We'll see how it is. I thought Bone Clocks was fantastic, and I'm excited to read this one as well before the year's out. I mean, I've had this book for years. Is there a book you think could still shock you and become your favorite book of the year? Pachinko by Min-Jin Lee. I don't think it would shock me by becoming my favorite book of the year, because I already feel like I'll go in being really touched by the experience. I'm expecting to be touched. So I don't know if I would be shocked. The shock would come from knowing that there are some great books that I've read this year. One of them being We Were 8 Years in Power. I think the Ta-Nehisi Coates' fiction, the novel, The Water Dancer, may be really up there. What's another favorite that I had? The Book of Hidden Things was really fantastic. So there are some really big contenders for favorite book of the year, or even top 3. So there's some stiff competition. We'll see how this one goes. I've heard great things. I'm really excited to read it. Another multi-generational family saga. So we'll see how this one goes. Finally, have you already started making reading plans for 2020? Girl, I'm still trying to finish my reading challenge for 2019. Okay, my goal was 100 books. Normally I read anywhere between 56 to 66 books a year. This year, I think I've only read like 26 or 27 books this year. I mean, it's so low. However, it's not just about quantity, it's about quality, and I do think that I've been reading some really good books, because I'm not afraid to DNF as much, although I just recently DNF'd a book at 50%, and I didn't want to because I purchased the book, but life is too short. You're not going to read all the books that you want to read if you are insisting on reading or finishing everything, even if you're not liking it or if it's not for you. You're already not going to get to all the books that you would have found amazing. So put the bad book, or the book that doesn't fit you, down. So that was my end of the year book tag. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know the answer to some of those questions. Like, let me know the 3 books. That's what I'd really love to know. The 3 books that you definitely want to get to before the end of this year. Don't forget to like the video. If you liked it, please share the video, and don't forget to subscribe. And you know what? This is not from that tour, but this is from the album. If you guys haven't heard the album or streamed the album or downloaded the double albums, 4am, Mulholland, and After 4am, definitely do that. And also I'm on tour, so the tour is very spread out. It's the Femme Fatale tour, and so myself, Brandy, Monica, Carrie Hilston, Lil Mo, Ashanti, several others I just can't think of it at this moment because we're not all on the same dates. Maya, we're doing different dates. So sometimes we see each other and sometimes we don't, but all the ladies are fantastic, phenomenal. It's a great vibe, so definitely come out. I think sometimes YouTube may post like tickets and stuff like that underneath the video. I would love to see you, so definitely come out. I will see you guys next time. Bye.